good morning. I just want to show you something. The other day, I was, actually last week, I went to go pick up my new pool liner because my neighbors next door, when they were fixing their apartment, they managed to get cement in my pool, and well, it's a mess. It's 2 years we haven't used the pool. So finally, we got a hold of the insurance, and they were able to cover for the damages, and we went to pick our new liner. So we passed by Bulk Barn, but I did see soy milk powder. I said, well, this is exciting. Maybe I should just get a small batch, and if we ever run out of milk, you know, it's not going to be organic, but at least if we need some milk to either bake a cake or something, we have that little bit of powder. So I bought a bag full, and I'll show it to you right now. So here it is. So I bought this bag of powder. It says I'm going to keep it just in case. And it says soy beverage. Soy milk powder. So I told my daughter the other day, I says, you know what, Erica, let's try that powder and see if it's any good. If it is, well, you know, it's always good to have and buy it when we need it and just keep it in the pantry or even in the freezer. And if we ever have to make a fast batch of milk, we have it. So I mixed this milk, and I use the same container, and I'm going to show you that. And by the way, don't look at my doctor's handwriting. This was done, I'll explain to you anyhow. I'm going to show you what I did. Here we go. I usually buy bio-organic milk, especially soy. And so I says, you know what, I'm just going to use this container. I'm going to put the powder in there. I'm going to put the milk that they recommend, and I'm going to shake it up, and I'm going to have instant milk, right? Well, oh my God. Not only was it the most disgusting thing to drink, I said, what is this? This, like, I mean, it tastes like I was drinking raw soybeans. It didn't taste like milk at all. It just tastes like someone crushed up the beans. It was really not pleasant. I said, well, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Now I've got all this milk that I batched up, and if anybody knows me, I hate to throw things away. I hate to just, I feel it's a sin. I mean, it's, you know, something that's been instilled in me as a child, that we don't waste food. We don't do that because, you know, our parents, they come from Italy. They came by boat. They really had no money, and so whatever they had, they made sure that they ate, or they would not throw it away. Leftovers would never be thrown away. So, you know, it's been like instilled in me, and that I do not throw away food. So I'm looking at all this powder I have, and I says, oh dear God, what am I going to do with all of this? I'm not going to throw it away. So I says, you know what? I'm going to try making a batch of meat for my husband. I'm going to use this milk instead of using water. Well, can I tell you, it is one of the best meats I've made in the longest time. I mean, you know, every meat I make has its flavor. It has a different flavor, so to mix it up. But it was so good. It was good just to eat it like that. You didn't even have to fry it up in a pan or do things you normally do. And as I was throwing these ingredients together, like I always do, and because I make videos now, my daughter tells me, write it down, write it down. And we're not even talking the measurements, normal measurements. I'm going to show you how I did this. It is the funniest thing ever, because I told you, when I make recipes, I just make recipes. I just throw things together, and I don't even use the right utensils to measure. And it's just something that I do, and if it comes out great, well, it always comes out great. I've never been disappointed with the food I make. Yes, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder. So I wrote this stuff down. I says, I'm going to try making something with this, because I don't want to throw this out. So I says, well, who's the best guinea pig for me? My husband. Not that he knew what I was doing. He never knows what I'm doing. But I tell him to taste if he likes. Well, I was the first one to taste it. I didn't even test it on my husband. It was so freaking good. I can't even tell you how good it was. So I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to show you what I did. So here's my milk. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to pull out all the ingredients that I need, so just have patience. I'm going to lay it out on the counter, and then we're going to measure it properly together so we get the proper recipe. I know this is nuts because of the way I cook, but we're going to do it together, so this way you have an idea. And also, if you ever come across this milk, powdered milk, soy powdered milk, if you have a bulk barn or anywhere where you could buy this, you definitely have to try it because it is just the best. So I'm going to bring all my ingredients out for you. Let me just fix this camera before I lose it. And we're going to measure this together. So have patience. I'll be right back. You need something, Jordy? My beautiful dog. He's so old. It's so sad. You know, I wish I had, you know what, I keep saying I want to fix my kitchen. It's an old kitchen. This used to be my mom and dad's house, and we took over because we loved it so much. We just couldn't get rid of all this history. But I have to get my kitchen, or I got to figure a way where you could actually see me and not just my hands. So have patience with me. I'm working on all of that where you can actually see me and make the food at the same time. So just have some patience, and for now we'll just have to do it this way. But as long as the food is good, it doesn't matter how I show you these recipes, right? This might be a two-part video, but I want to show you how I work and why it's such a struggle for me to get these recipes down, because I really just throw things together. So but like I said, I promised my daughter I was going to write them down, and I do now. I write them down as I'm throwing things together. Sometimes I forget an item or two, but I do write them down. So these are the ingredients that I work with. This is going to be for my broth. I'm going to put it aside. For my broth, soy sauce I need. And I'm going to show you something else that I picked up a while back at the bulk barn, and it is chicken. It's not chicken, like my granddaughters would call it, chicken. Here, I put it in one of my old spice containers. It's basically like a faux chicken, like a chicken soup taste. I had some on the counter, and I says I'm not wasting it, so I went into my broth. So we're going to do that again. But I want to explain something, and I'm not sure if you ever figured it out. If you ever taste chicken powder, or this faux chicken powder, it almost has a slight taste of curry. So if you do not have this, I would say put a little bit of curry in your broth, because it really does have a little curry taste to it, that I find anyhow. And I have a substituted curry when I want to replace it with chicken stock if I don't have any. Now, we are going to use this. Look at that huge ball that's in there. Okay, we are going to use this since I have it, but like I said, you don't have to put it. If you want to, and you don't have this, put a little bit of curry if you have that. You don't have to use a lot of it, just a little bit, just to add some flavor to the water. But this is what I'm going to be using in the broth. Okay, so let me get a bowl. I'm just going to get a small bowl because I really don't need to... oh, there we go. My daughter used my arm, and so now it's out of alignment. I have to get her own. Yes, I do. Okay. So, here's my bowl, and I'm going to show you what I did to this mess. Okay. Here's my Vital Wheat gluten, and I always put it in a canister. But I want to show you something. Look what I put in a canister. I'm not sure if you can see it. I use an espresso cup. This is what I use to grab my stuff. So I never really measure my stuff. I just grab because it fits great in my jar. So when I cook, I just grab what I have, and I just cook by looking. I don't, I never really, like I said, I never really measure. So my equipment are the oddest equipment that I use. So when I do recipes for you guys, I'm going to have to take this now and start measuring it. and give you the right ingredients. So I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to put this on the side. Okay, so we're going to measure this first. We're going to measure this first so we have an idea what I did. Oh, I just did that to you again, eh? I keep shaking you guys up. Hold on a second. Okay, so I would take one, and I'm going to dump it in my 1 cup measuring. So I use 3 of these. So here is 2. Am I at a cup yet? No, let's see. I use 3 espresso cups. And that's how I measure them. I'm not always precise. So I'm just going to see if this is going to give me, wow, look at that. It gave me 1 cup of gluten. So there we go. First ingredient, 1 cup of vital wheat gluten. Okay, I did use 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, but did I use tablespoons? No, I did not. I used a different spoon, but I will put, I'll tell you how much I'm going to use. Or maybe I used a teaspoon, but it was heaping. That's what I did. So we will make 3 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Okay, so that's good. I did the same thing with the mushroom. So we're just going to throw in 1 tablespoon of, and do you see my tablespoons? It's always a little heaping, so that's how I do it. 1 tablespoon of powdered mushrooms. Now I'm going to show you something later, or actually I should show it to you now. I'll show you how I get my mushrooms. I go to my local Asian store and I buy dried mushrooms. Really not expensive. You could get a smaller package for about $4 or $5, or you could get the huge package for $10. But let me tell you, they go a long way. You can use them in cooking, just by putting them in some water and rehydrating them, or do what I do. I take these and I put them in my NutriBullet and I turn it into this beautiful powder that I always use in my recipes. And I'll tell you why. Because meat has a very metal, iron-like taste to it. So by adding a very earthy item such as mushroom, that is very, it has minerals. It's not like a vegetable where it has vitamins. The mushroom has a lot of minerals like meat would have. So it adds that meaty taste to the meat that I make. And if I wanted to have that meaty flavor, meaty taste under your teeth, that meaty bite, I do put chunks of mushrooms once it's been rehydrated into some of my recipes. But these things go a long way. If you buy powder, it's so expensive, but I'm telling you, I hardly use any mushrooms to make this load of powder I have here. I think I use maybe 5, 6 of these mushrooms, and you know how many you get in a package? You get a lot more than 5, 6. So really easy to make. You don't have to go out and spend all kinds of money to make mushroom powder. Make your own. Find an Asian store that has mushrooms. Get those, either shiitake or they call them flower mushrooms, and just make your own powder. Or if you can't find them dry, buy fresh mushrooms and just lay them out and let them dry up. And then when you need them, and when they're dry, you just turn them into a powder form. So it's very easy. So I did put my mushroom, and I put 1 tablespoon. And when I was measuring my Caribbean, I kind of just threw it in my lid. But this time we're going to measure it for sure. And this is the one I use. I'm not sure if you can see it. Any Caribbean spice. This one has roasted garlic. Really good. It has a little bit of spice to it. I got to be careful when I do this, because if my granddaughters come over, too spicy, Nana, and I love spice, but because I'm making this meat for my husband and it's not going to last till I see them next, I'm going to add it into my mixture. So I will put, here we go, 1 only tablespoon of the Caribbean spice. I mean, we could, you know what, I'm going to give them a little extra just because I want them to say, whoop, there's a lot of spice in there. Okay, so I put 1.5. We're just going to be brave today and just put some extra heat. And then again, if you don't want Caribbean, if you want jerk, you could put jerk. You could put whatever spice you want, really. I only put 1.5 of the Caribbean because it's spicy. But if it was a different non-spicy spice, I probably would have put a little more. I would have put maybe 2 of them. But because this has got some heat, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm only going to put 1.5 in here. Okay, I need 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I am going to mix this up first. And I'm just going to put my olive oil next. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and 3. Now you're saying, why are you putting so much olive oil? I'll tell you what olive oil does to your meat. If you don't use olive oil, your meat becomes one compact piece of gluten. By putting olive oil, it makes it more that you can pull your meat apart like you're doing pulled pork. So by adding olive oil to your seitan mixture, it's just going to be easier for you to pull that meat apart without having to, like, you know, chew or lose your teeth doing it. So it does help making your meat more stringy like meat would be, where if you're pulling chicken apart, it just pulls apart easier. So that's what the olive oil does. Okay, so my camera shut down on me. So I did forget to put some salt, and here again, see what I do? I just add the salt right into my hands. So I'm only going to use about 1/2 teaspoon. It's about 1/2 teaspoon. I mean, I can measure it. But I'm using about 1/2 teaspoon of salt because you really don't want too much salt. Oh, look at that. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I nailed it right on the head. Okay, can you tell I've been cooking a long time? Okay, so that makes me a dinosaur. All right, so I added 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we are going to add this crazy milk that I bought. And I bet it's going to work out also if you just buy soy milk. This one is just not bearable. I mean, I'm going to try it again. It tastes like just crushed up beans. Crushed up soybeans. So we're going to add 1 cup for now, and we're going to mix this and see if we need more. Because I did do this. You see? Or maybe that's all I need. Let's see. A little watery, you see? I should have done a little bit at a time. Oh no, we're good. We're good. I thought maybe I messed up the batch. Well, a little, it's not as firm as, it's a little, we're going to need more flour. Because it's wetter than the one I made yesterday. Let me just put some of this in here. Right now, I don't need my bowl. We're just going to drop that right on there. So it's a little wetter than what I made yesterday. So I'm just going to, yeah, it is a little wetter. The idea now is to knead this. The more you knead it, the more it's going to get and activate its gluten. I've had somebody say, well, why do you call yourself Connie's RAWsome Kitchen? Well, the intention was to call myself Connie's RAWsome Kitchen and make a lot of raw food for you guys. But I've been getting so many messages, can you show me how you make your meat? And I think going through video is the easiest way to show someone. Okay, this is good now. So if you find that your meat is a little too wet, and you're going to know, as you make seitan, you're going to know exactly when you cook your meat, if you use more flour, how it feels. If you use less flour, it's going to be a softer meat. So you're going to get to know your meat. You're going to know when it's wet and when it's not. This is still not as firm as the one I made, so I'm just going to keep sprinkling vital wheat gluten and just picking up all that moisture, because you want a nice firm dough when you're making this one. So I would say maybe 1 1/4 cup of vital wheat gluten and 1 cup of milk. And if you see that's too firm, then just put little drops of milk till you get it to the way you want it in firmness. Now this is getting nice and firm on me. And you could also add just a little bit of oil on your counter, and that just helps get a little more. And this is really, really, I couldn't believe the taste of this meat. It was just yummy, yummy, yummy taste. There we go, just a little more. Just pick up all that moisture. Now, you know, some people say, oh, this is disgusting. All it is protein and spices compared to blood and God knows what else fell on that meat, because when they cut those animals up, everything pours out from them and it goes onto the meat that they eat. So let me tell you, this is a lot better for you, a lot healthier for you. And why am I saying this? Because I've been getting some hate comments on my steak video that, you know, they're not very nice people, obviously. I'm going to start calling them YouTube trolls, because they have nothing better to do than to come onto my channel and tell me that what I'm doing is not good. Let's see, I don't kill, I don't hurt, I don't see what I'm doing that's wrong, yet they're promoting eating animal products and not being very nice about it. Yeah, that's my steak video. So really, if you guys need to get a life, find one. Don't bother people that aren't out there to get you. And that's what you're doing. So, get a life, guys. I'm just trying to help someone who wants to transition to a kinder diet. And so, that's what I'm going to be doing. So here's my meat. I'm just going to let it sit here while I prepare. I'm going to prepare my broth. Now, if you see how it's not completely into a ball form, I like it more this way, and I'll tell you why. Because when I cook my meat, it's going to cook, it's going to be a flatter piece of meat, and I'm just going to cut them in slivers this way, and then I could either throw it back into a pan, or I could just grab those slivers, and it's going to make a great, like a chicken sandwich. You could actually take this and pull it apart once it's cooked. All these layers, you're going to just be able to pull it apart by hand. So don't worry if you see the creases in your dough. Don't worry about that. It just adds character to your vegan meat, and it's just going to be delicious for you. So I'm just going to let this rest, and I'm going to start with my broth, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. This is an old pan. Don't look at how it looks. You know what they say, flavors are all at the bottom. I'm going to add some water. Like I said, this is an old pan that I use to cook my seitan meat. And I'm just going to take these cloves of garlic, and I'm going to throw it in with the skins. It doesn't make a difference for me. Okay, and I'm gonna take some of this chicken powder, and let's see what we're gonna do, because I took a chunk the other day. There was a chunk stuck, and I just used that. So I'm gonna use one. These are to get to. Two. I guess three. Notice my spoons are not level. Okay, so I'm using 3 for now, and you could also taste this to see if you need extra. And we need some ginger, and I'm just gonna slice the ginger into slices. About maybe this size ginger. The more ginger you put, the nicer it tastes. You could also make a nice Asian stir fry with this meat, because it does pick up a little bit of the ginger. So I'm going to use all this ginger. I've got all these pieces of ginger that I'm going to throw into the water and use the little butt end. And now I'm going to add some soy sauce. So I will add, I'm even going to add that drop of milk because I don't like wasting anything. I would say about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. There we go. And now we're going to take this and we're going to bring it to a boil. Oh, I did put some rosemary, eh? Well, I'm not going to put rosemary now because I'm not going to go out into my garden. So what I'm going to do is maybe put a couple of leaves of bay leaf. So you could put rosemary if you have it on hand. And if you don't have it on hand, you could just get some bay leaf. And you could put that in. And if you don't have bay leaf, well, leave it out. You don't really have to put it, but unless you have some herb that you can throw into your water. But if you have some fresh rosemary, I would put a whole piece of rosemary, like a little stem of rosemary. So I'm gonna have 1, 2, maybe 3 bay leaves. And if I get a chance, I will go out and pick some rosemary and throw a piece in there. But for now, I'm gonna put this to boil, taste it. I could use more chicken stock. So I'm gonna just put a little bit more. And now we're going to put this to boil, and once this comes to a boil, we're going to reduce it to a very low simmer, and then we're going to put our beautiful meat in flat. You can make it a ball if you want, but you'll see what I mean when I pull it out once it's cooked. So I'm going to put this to boil. Went and get a piece of rosemary, and I'm going to throw this in my water. And rosemary, the more you put, the better it is. But my plant's not so big right now, so I'm being very careful how much I'm going to be pulling off. But otherwise, I would have put a nice long one, double the size once it gets going. But for now, I'm probably going to call my husband, tell him to give me a bunch of rosemary plants because I use a lot of this. So I did get a little piece that I'm going to put in the water. And I'll be back. Okay, so here we are. I don't want to burn myself. But it is boiling, and I just put it down to minimum. I see it right there, the lowest setting. Oh, I just got steam in my glasses. So now this is going to simmer down to a very low heat, and I'm going to take my meat and gently place it on and just slowly move it around so it doesn't stick. And then I'm going to cover it. But it's got to stay at a very low heat. I keep moving you around. Here we go. Cover it. And we're going to let this cook for 1 hour. Okay, I made a new batch just to see, because I forgot to put the chickpea flour. Yesterday I added 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour, which I forgot to put on the batch I just made previous. So, that I just made earlier. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a new batch, and I'm going to cook even this one up to see if there's a difference in texture. But so far, the one I did cook, it's almost ready to be pulled out. Looks great. So now I'm going to add my Olive oil, 3 tablespoons, which I might be short of. So I will add some coconut oil to make up for what I'm missing. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's olive oil or coconut oil. It's just a matter of adding that oil to your gluten, so it helps you pull it apart easier. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to add a little extra. There you go. And that's coconut oil. And my coconut oil, I've showed it to you earlier, is very liquid because I keep it near the stove. So it's a lot easier to use. And now I'm going to use 1 cup of milk, and I should have my new batch of meat. Now I don't mind making a new batch because I use a lot of it making sandwiches for my husband. So here we go. I want to see if I still need that 1/4 cup of flour. You see, it made a difference. When I added it earlier, I was missing that chickpea flour, so I needed to add extra flour. So do stick with your 3 cups of, 1 cup of gluten rather than 1 1/4. But again, play it by feel, and if you feel you need to add the flour, go ahead and add it. And if you feel you need to add more milk, go ahead and add that too. So I am just kneading this, and this is my second batch, but this time I did put the chickpea flour right into it. And I forgot to do that earlier. See, sometimes I have good intentions to show you guys something, but I get carried away, and then it just doesn't work as easy as I want it to be. Now I'm going to show you something else that you can do when you're making this meat. You can take pieces of meat, just pull it off, use your rolling pin, and then just drop it into the water like this. And it'll make a nice little cutlet type meat that you can just quickly bread. Once it's done, you could quickly bread this and deep fry them for cutlets. And I might just do some like this for my husband, because he's been bugging me for cutlets. Well, he's going to get this type of cutlet. See? Very easy. Now, I'm going to put this aside and I'll finish that off. And I'm going to show you what the meat looks like. Okay. Remember I told you that? Look at this. Look at the way it easily pulls apart. You could actually do like pulled pork with this. Look at that. It just easily pulls apart for you. So the texture is, and the taste is amazing. Even though I forgot to use my my chickpea flour, still very good. So here's the meat. Now what you can do with this is simply take a knife and you can cut them in slices and then just throw them in a stir fry, or you could just pick at it and pull the meat apart. You could also take a big chunk, throw it in the food processor, and turn that into minced meat. So here's that batch. Now I'm going to show you the one I'm making now, and I'm going to make them into very thin slices. This way I can bread them for him. Here's a slice, and I'm just going to drop them in the water. My water's still there. I still have water that the broth that I cooked the meat in. And I'm just going to take this meat and just show you all the different ways you can really, the things you can do with it. And you just drop this right into the broth. Pull, and make another. Now, size-wise depends on you, but these are nice finger foods for the family. And if not, you can still use them. You can still use them for any other recipe you want to make. You can make a nice Asian stir fry with it. You know, it's up to you to get creative. And don't look at the way the shapes are. It doesn't matter. It gives it more of that look of what you were accustomed to eating. The look of that meat you're accustomed. Not that it has to be that way. And that's the big problem I'm having with that one person. Well, there's a couple of them that tells me, why do I make things that look and taste like meat when I don't want to eat meat? That I'm being a fraud and I'm being fake. And it's like so hurtful to hear, because if anything, I'm not being fake. You can't get more real than I am right now. And he's telling me that, you know, I'm the bad one. Yet he's the one who has other people kill so he can eat his meat. You know, he's telling me that plants have feelings. So, you know, basically we know that he's just one big troll who's out there to just give vegans a hard time. And I'm too much of a nice person to... Oh, oil is finished there. I'm too much of a nice person to tell him what he can do with himself. So here we go. So you can actually do whatever you want with this meat. And that's how easy and fun it is. And it took, what did it take? It took 2 minutes to mix together. And the best part is, this meat has nothing in it that's going to harm your body. Unless you're a celiac and you can't have any type of wheat gluten whatsoever, then it's not just seitan you can't have bread, and you can't have a lot of other stuff. So it has nothing to do with gluten. Most people will tolerate gluten because we basically, our bodies will compensate for whatever we put in there. Right now I'm just cutting them into small pieces or ripping them apart like this, and I just use a rolling pin and flatten it out as flat as I can get it, because once it goes in that water it will thicken up a little. And this is how easy it is to make vegan meat. And we don't hurt anyone or anything in the process. That's the beauty about this. And it gives you the same nutrients that your, well, actually it gives you better nutrients, because you see, an animal will eat grass or plants so it can make protein for its body. And when people eat meat, your body's got to take that meat, break it down, turn it into amino acids, so the amino acids could make protein for your body. When you could just eat the plants and skip that process completely. Just skip the whole process of breaking down the protein, and then you can let me just spray that down again. Just completely break down, completely get rid of that step that your body has to work so hard to do, and just make your own protein for your body, because your body makes protein. If you think that you're eating protein from an animal is gonna give you protein. No, your body's got to create it. Okay, so see how simple that was? As thin as you can get this. And just drop it into your liquids. And now we're going to just let that cook. And then I'm going to show you what they look like. Okay, back to the meat. I just want to show you. Now, you could leave the meat out of the water where you don't have to worry about draining it. But when it's out of the water, you want to consume it a little faster. What's a little faster? I mean, it's still good for days. But what I do is I cut it completely in half, because I don't have a Tupperware big enough right at this moment. And I'm going to put it into a Tupperware, and I'm going to add some of that broth that some of the broth that I cooked it in. Right now I'm cooking those thin cutlets, but I will add those cutlets to this meat, and then add the liquids. This meat is very good, just as good if you leave out the chickpea flour. If you don't have it, work just as good. And like I said, look out. Not sure if you could see. You could actually just like pull the meat apart. It's so nice. And the flavors, amazing. I'm telling you, that milk fupa that I did, I couldn't drink that milk, but I sure can cook with it. This is really good. Now this meat, as you all know, or if you haven't figured out, seitan is always better the day after. I mean, you can still use it right after you cooked it, but it is so much better the day after. So put it in your refrigerator and then just take it out when you need it and do what you wish with it. You can stuff mushrooms. You can stuff peppers. You could also, when you're making your dough, if you pull your dough apart in chunks and throw it in the broth to cook, you can make nuggets, size of nuggets, that you can also make shish kebab with that meat. So the cooking ideas are really endless with seitan, and that's if you want to have that feel under your teeth. And this is mostly for people who just can't give up their meat, or they're doing a transition. And I hope you're listening to me, whoever's always bashing me on this YouTube of mine. A lot of people have a hard time transitioning, and they want to stop the abuse and the hate and the killing of animals. I'm trying to help a lot of people who want to make a difference in their lives. And a lot of people just like the texture of that firmness under their teeth. So this is a nice way to get it. And the food is delicious, and you really don't miss anything. You get all the nutrients you need, and plus bonus. And the bonus is not getting sick. That's what the bonus is. The bonus is that you're not going to have to go see your heart doctor because you're going to have a cardiac arrest. So, I don't want to be mean, but some of these people are mean with me, so hey, I'm going to give it back if I could. So, I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to come back when I'm showing you the cutlets. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to show you what the cutlets look like. These are the ones that I stretched out with the rolling pin. Look how beautiful these are, and look how thin they are. Now with this type of meat, you can either bread them, and you can put this next to some pasta with some melted vegan cheese on top, or you can take these and you can just make a little stir fry, some Asian stir fry. But look how beautiful these are. And it's already prepared for you. Now I'm going to put this, I just used up half of the meat I made previous. I made sandwiches for my husband's lunch. But I'm going to put this in the same container, and I'm going to show you now. So here's the meat I made earlier. As you could tell, this is what I have left of a half, because I made lunches for my husband. And his lunches are pretty big because he's out there all day and he gets hungry. So I'm going to take this meat and I'm just going to lay it right on top, flat, and then I can do whatever I want with it. I could bread them now, or I can wait till tomorrow and bread them. So it's that easy, guys. Beautiful, beautiful cutlets. Look at that. You could cook this up in a pan with some rosemary and some wine, and you could put this next to a nice, some nice string beans. You could get as creative as you want. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful cutlets. And I'm just going to keep putting this in here. So it just comes to show you, you can get as creative as you want, and you can cook up this meat any way you like. There is no limit to what you can do with this meat. I'm going to keep some of these ginger pieces right into my container, and that's going to help keep adding flavor to the meat while it sits there. And you can refrigerate this. I could even put a couple garlic cloves in there, and that adds to the flavor too. So I'm just going to add some liquid, and I'm going to refrigerate it. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful seitan meat. So I hope you like this video. If you do, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.